Horses was supposed to be a short 2-minute introduction to a video that was going to be about buying things in Wyndhaven. Because there's some considerations that my friend made in his game, the same game with the horses, that I liked, and I was going to continue along that, but I didn't. However, I decided that instead of going right into that in this video, I would explain the brief history of Wyndhaven, because Wyndhaven hasn't been around so very, very long. This map is by Terry Miranda. There's a gallery in Soho that's doing a show of fantasy maps, and this is one of the pieces that was displayed there. I grabbed it off of his website, and I liked it because this harbor, this big, huge bay area, was like, oh, I could just put, this Sol Kesh or whatever that says could be Wyndhaven. But I actually don't like this map in particular for the New World, so I wouldn't use it that way. And when I say New World and Old World, I am deliberately drawing on the colonization of America, North America, and to some degree South America, when I'm pulling these ideas out. So what happened? We knew that there was a civilization in the New World, and it fell, and that's where the runes came from. The Old World, where the PC's empire, kingdom, whatever, is from, there were some explorers who came over and found the New World, and there are little bits that they explored, but they were not setting up colonies. They didn't have, actual bases, and so they could go over, explore for a couple days or a week or two, and then they had to head back. So there's little pockets of this New World that have been explored and partially sketchily mapped, but not major. When the Old World decided they wanted to colonize the New World, and so Wyndhaven's founding started when one of these kingdoms or the empire, what have you, sent over a bunch of ships. These ships were specifically meant to start a number of colonies in the New World. So they were laden with supplies and people and animals and everything because they wanted to go there and set up shop. And as they headed to the New World, the massive storms and the unsafe waters they sunk a couple of the ships off the coast. And they found this one part of the coast where Wyndhaven would be founded, where the winds and the ocean just suddenly died down. Everywhere else around them there was this massive storm, but here it was calm. And so they put into port there and unloaded their supplies. And now what would have been 3 or 4 or even 5 different colonies, a couple ships had gone down, and so they still had the supplies for more than one colony. But all of the ships had to put into the same place. So they decided it's way too dangerous up and down this coast. We need to make one major port, and since this is a sort of supernaturally calm area of sea, we're going to use all of the supplies to build one awesome port city. And so they set about doing that. Most of them started building this city and these piers and what have you, everything you need for ships to come in and out. And they also built a wall a little bit inland, not too far, but they didn't know what all was going to be on the island. And they know that some of the explorers died before coming back. And I'm guessing other explorers had reported that there were dangers there. So they're like, we need a wall. So they build a little wall. And then they build up their little settlement. And now that they've got their settlement built, they start adventuring a little bit past the wall. They need to find food. They need to find, a place to build a farm, which you can't really do right on the coast. So they have to go inland a bit. I mean, and there's trees and everything, so that they need that lumber and some of those raw supplies that they were relying on that didn't come from the ships. And as they go in, they build their little. Some of them, they find good farmland, they build farms, but these are outside of the wall, and they're hoping that they don't get attacked. And of course, that's what happens. Suddenly, the humanoids, the goblins, the hobgoblins, the orcs, and what have you, they discover that there's this human settlement popping up on their coast, and so they start raiding them, stealing supplies, stealing animals, killing people, burning houses. And Wyndhaven, which that's why they got their name, Wyndhaven, They have a small garrison of troops. I mean, when you send over this colony, they know that they need soldiers in order to protect it. And so there's a garrison of actual trained soldiers, and then of course there's just the people who live there who take up, whatever implements they can in order to defend themselves. And they start having this little clash. At first, it's only small, isolated incidents of violence, and so it's mostly reactionary. They have to go, and then they find the farm is dead, and so they hunt around the area to see if they can find the humanoids that were responsible for it. And they had sent back messengers after they had started building this colony. One of the ships has to go back to tell the Empire how everything's going. And of course, they're saying, we had to build just this one place, and we have a whole bunch of supplies, but we lost people, and now we're getting attacked, and so we need more people. We need more soldiers to help defend this, to gain this foothold in the New World. Well, so the Empire sends over more soldiers in order to support and secure their only safe port in the New World. And now they start amassing, a minor army in Wyndhaven. And since they have all of these people now, since they have all these soldiers and they can patrol the area and keep it safe, they decide they're going to build a bigger, stronger wall further out. It's no longer considered safe to be outside of the wall in the farmland, but they need the farmland to support the city. So they build this massive wall covering a very large area of land, and that way they can build all these farms inside the city wall and protect their food supply, basically. Now, the humanoids, you don't build a massive wall without somebody noticing, and so they notice this thing building, and they're like, hey, I mean, if we want to keep killing these people, because that's always fun, we need to stop them from building this wall. And so all of these humanoids that lived in the New World start amassing their own army to meet up against the human army. And before the wall can be completed, the humanoids attack. They decide to go all out and just try to crush the humans to the point where they can't finish building the wall, and then they'll set about destroying the wall themselves. And there's a huge battle, but unfortunately for the humanoids, the humans win. They get to take advantage of the parts of the wall that they had already built, and both armies are essentially depleted by this battle, because it's an all-out battle. The old world is all-out battling to keep its foothold, and the new world is all-out battling to repel these people. And so both of the armies are shattered. The humans maintain a small garrison of troops that survive. The humanoids disappear back into the unexplored wilderness, and the humans finish their wall. Unfortunately, it's such a drain on resources for the Empire that when the next messengers head back to the old world to request even more supplies, they're like, hey, whatever's going on in the old world, they can't spare even more men and supplies for this. It's no longer a profitable excursion for them, and so they decide to pull back a bit. So now Wyndhaven has this wall. They have tons of territory, but they don't have a bunch of new supplies, and so they're going to basically have to build up the city themselves. They're going to have to spend time and getting it all together. Luckily, they do have some resources that are within their big wall so that they can continue to export some stuff to the old world and hope to get, show them that we're worth this. So we need, eventually they'll send more people. And that's where they're sitting right now when the PCs start the game. They might have come from the old world and fought to secure the wall, but I would think not. I would hope that this is happening a little bit after that. And the PCs are a group of people who had come over to the new world because they knew that they needed more help. And they're the crazy people that leave the safety of the wall. Now, and this is one of the reasons why I didn't want them to be in charge there when the wall was being defended. Years pass after that huge battle. The town is building up a bit, and there had not been any more sightings of humanoids attacking or trying against the wall. And so there was a group of humans who are like, hey, it's been years now. They haven't come back. We're going to head out through the wall and see if we can find stuff. And so they do. They get permission. There's a group of settlers that decide they're going to do this. And they head out and they found the town of Land's Blessing. And all of the events for the Hoach happen there. They find that there are more humanoids hiding in these caves. They start raiding Land's Blessing. And so a garrison from the town goes up there and clears out the cave. When they think they'd killed all the monsters in the cave, a few days later, the entire town of Land's Blessing, which is outside of the wall, is destroyed and gone. They see smoke rising from the wall. The garrison on the wall sees Land's Blessing, the smoke rising from it, and they're like, oh, well, guess what? Nobody's going outside the wall again. And that's when the PCs get there, and they manage to secure permission to leave the town even later after Land's Blessing is dead. And maybe they're even asked to go up to Land's Blessing. It's like, you guys, you're adventurers. You go up there and find out what happened. Something like that can go on. But that's basically the history of Wyndhaven and where it stands now and how the PCs will encounter it.